In today's episode of Getting Geeky with Game Relief, I sit down with Nick to talk all about adventure tactics. Then we'll see what's on Kickstarter, but first a message from our sponsor. This episode of Getting Geeky with Game Relief is proudly being powered by Torres Games, who are bringing Serpent Master back to Kickstarter the first of next month. Serpent Master is a card-driven abstract board game for 1 to 4 players where a player must keep their serpent on top to win. Plus, they're doing a giveaway with us, or a few of them in fact, over there at thegiveawaygeek.com. Enter today and back their Kickstarter on the 1st of August.
Getting Geeky with Gamer Leaf, the podcast in which one man strives to level up his geekhood and helping you do the same, one battle at a time. Now, let's get geeky with Gamer Leaf.
So we meet Roberta. Her background is she's an Empire soldier. She's recently returned from war to take up the mantle of captain of the guard of the local village. You're patrolling the village when you see Ert, the village smith, running towards you and gasping for breath. Goblins, he gasps as he collapses in your arms. You hear the unmistakable beat of goblin war drums coming from the gate, but there also seems to be some sort of panic stirring in the back of the village. Someone has sounded the alarm. A two-pronged attack? ?
Did that sound familiar to you guys? It didn't to me either, but this is a story of, or part of a story from Adventure Tactics, a co-op tactics campaign for 1 to 5 players that's either on Kickstarter or about to launch to Kickstarter, and we're looking to have on one of the creators and masterminds behind this game with us tonight. Is that right, Nick? Is that how you fall in line with Adventure Tactics?
Yeah, I'm the designer. Dan's publishing it. Yep.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us tonight, Nick. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem. Now, before we jump into your game and everything that's great about it here on Getting Geeky with Game Relief, let's rewind a little bit if we could. How did you get into playing tabletop board games, Nick?
I've been telling everybody I've been indoctrinated since I was a child. My parents got me into card games very early. Like I want to say I was young as like 5 or 6 when they started teaching me basic card games like euchre, solitaire, that kind of thing. You know, they even we moved into cribbage. My dad even tried to teach me bridge for a while, but I was a terrible partner, so he gave up. So I've been playing games for a while, and then when I was late high school, early college, I started getting introduced to better games, and like everybody's gateway game, it was mine too. It was Settlers of Catan, right? Which is just Catan now, I think. But I'm old enough so that back in the day it was Settlers of Catan, and that was a new thing. Like not everybody knew about it. It was just starting to pick up, and that's when I discovered there were much better board games out there. But even before then, my older brother and I, we would play like Stratego, Battleship, the old classics, and we even played like some of the older tactical games like Hero Quest, the kind of things that are the forebears to Adventure Tactics.
There you go, awesome. And have you ever go back to the games that you were indoctrinated upon?
I've tried, but some of them don't age as well. I'll still play Settlers though, or Ticket to Ride, which is another early one that I learned. I think those still hold up. I know, some of the Too Cool for You crowd is, kind of poo-poos those sometimes, but those are still really solid games. There's a reason why I think those are the gateway games.
Yeah, most definitely. And what are you playing these days, Nick?
The last, we've been playtesting a lot of tactics, so that's still up there. But the one game that caught fire with our group was Welcome To, because it's just a quick, easy, it's one of those games that's like a palate cleanser at the end of the game night, or it's a good way to open. But we liked it so much that we just played that for for a couple hours and played through some of the different expansions.
Is that the one where you're setting up the blocks on your city block?
Yeah, you're kind of setting up your neighborhood. Yep.
Awesome. I love that game when we played that at Game Group. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, it's a good game.
But another good game from the looks of it is Adventure Tactics. Word on the street you're either on or about to be on Kickstarter. What can you tell us about Adventure Tactics?
Yeah, it launches on July 29th, so should be pretty soon. Or it's on live now, depending when you listen. But Adventure Tactics is our love letter to our favorite Japanese role-playing games, like Final Fantasy Tactics, Disgaea, Ogre Tactics, Ogre Battle, that series. So I mean, there's a lot of Shining Force, but really, Final Fantasy Tactics was the primary inspiration because we've seen a lot of really great tactical battlers, games that capture the grid-based movement and that kind of, and the battling aspect. But I haven't seen anything that really attempted the job system, like a really robust class system. You know, we have over 20 classes in Adventure Tactics, and not only do you have those 20 classes, but you have this freeform exploration where you can level up, you can go back and forth, you can mix and match. So it's really open.
Okay, cool. And so is it more like a role-playing game and board game hybrid, or?
Yeah, I would say it's a hybrid, like in the vein of Descent and Gloomhaven. Because I read the excerpt from the campaign guide. So there's a branching campaign guide. There's a story that takes you through, but it's very much still a tabletop game because I designed it with the action system is card based. So there's kind of a deck building, job building aspect to it too.
Okay, so per say me and you sat down to play Adventure Tactics, what's my turn going to look like or consist of, Nick?
So you're gonna have your character, and you're gonna draw up to 4 cards on your turn. Your action cards. Those are all determined by the levels of the classes that you've leveled up in. So let's say you start off as the rogue, but you've splashed into the wizard. You would also have some fireballs and some other cards from the wizard. So you draw your 4 cards, and you can play up to 2 on your turn.
Okay, and then you said somehow I draw the cards and I'm also deck building and doing other things like that, you said?
Yeah, every time you level up, you pick a class, and the level and the class determine what cards you add to your deck.
Okay, and so you have all the previous ones from the previous class or whatever you were before as well?
That's correct. Yep. So you kind of customize your deck based on how you want to level up, and that also affects your character's stats too. So like when you're moving and attacking, the elite class that you were most recently leveled up in, that's considered your active class.
Okay, and it's you and your friends against the board game, isn't it? With being a co-op?
Yeah, it's 100% co-op. The enemy is controlled by an AI deck that tells you what to do, and there's an initiative system. So each player acts once per round, and the bosses or the enemies act twice.
Okay, awesome. And do they go towards whoever's closest, or how does that go?
It depends. The earlier enemies, their first few encounters, the default behavior is right. They target the closest hero, and the players decide ties, so that you have a little power in terms of determining how you want to activate, and if you want someone to tank, you make sure they're up front. But later enemies, like the smarter enemies, they have more specific targeting patterns. Without spoiling too much, there's one character who's a mage hunter. So she'll go after the character who has the most levels in wizard or one of the other casting classes like warlock or shaman.
Okay, that sounds pretty interesting. And is this your first game that you've designed, Nick?
No, this will be my 3rd published game. But I took a few years off because my wife and I, we have three young kids, 5 and under. So it's been tough to work a full-time job and do full-time game design. So I had a couple of years off, but this is my 3rd game.
So you're coming back with this one. What might somebody else know you under? Or what are some of the other games out there that you've published?
Yeah, my first game was Hero Brigade, and I did a small expansion for that. But my second project was Eternal Dynasty, and that was a area control game set in ancient China. And it was Dynasty because each round is called a generation, and you get a different ruler with like variable player powers each round or each generation.
Okay, cool. And those weren't from Letman Games, or I hope I said that right.
Yeah, they were through my company, Zucchini People Games, and also co-published and distributed by Game Salute, which I don't think is a company anymore now. I think it's Starling Games.
Okay, you said Zucchini People Games, or what did you call it?
Yeah, Zucchini People Games. That was my company, or it still is my company.
So how'd you come up with that? That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, did you ever read The Far Side by Gary Larson?
It's been a while, but yeah, a little bit.
He had this old story where when he first went in to pitch his comic, he got approved by the syndicate, but he didn't have a name for the comic, so he just went with whatever the publisher gave him, which ended up being The Far Side or the Syndicate. And then he said, I don't care what they said. It could have been Revenge of the Zucchini People, for all I cared, just as long as they published my comic. So for me, like, I was just happy to have be able to fulfill my dream of publishing board games. So Zucchini People Games.
Oh, there you go. Awesome. Now, jumping back to Adventure Tactics during playtesting and whatnot, was there ever anything you had to scratch because it just wouldn't work for the game?
Right now, it's fully co-op. Everybody levels up together. You share the same level progression. Originally, people had separate experience, and we felt that took away from the feel of the cooperative nature of the game. So it just didn't work to have separate experience tracking. Like that's okay, I think, for some games like Gloomhaven where there's some competitive edge to it too. But it just didn't work for tactics because if you try to play that way, you're going to lose these. You're going to lose some of these fights.
Okay, so that's good that you're able to fix that and whatnot. And this is the first one from Letman Games, is that right?
No, Dan's been in the game for a while with Letterman Games. I think this is going to be his 10th Kickstarter for board games. So he's been doing this for a while. Yeah, but this is the biggest project by far either of us has done. So that's why we kind of teamed up to do it together.
Okay, awesome. And if I'm looking at it right, is there a standee as well as a miniature option?
Yeah, the heroes are going to all be minis, but for cost savings, so this isn't like a $500 game. We did enemy standees.
That makes sense. Yeah. So there you go. Awesome. So yeah, it looks like a pretty fun game. And how do you tell if you win? Like, just what if you do fulfill everything that the campaign asked for, or kill the bad guys, or?
There's 3 ways to progress through a campaign scenario. So you're always progressing. You're always going to level up at the end. But there's 3 ways to go about it. Number 1 is beating the basic objective. A lot of times that's just beating the main bad guy of the fight. And then there's a bonus objective. So if you do the main objective last and you do the bonus objective first, then you get usually extra rewards. And then finally, if you fail a scenario, that's another way to progress. And usually you don't get very much in terms of loot and rewards for that. But you always level up. And depending on how you like the level of success or failure, that determines how the campaign branches. And sometimes when you complete the bonus objective, you'll get like a special plot item or a better piece of gear that can be important later.
Okay, and so is it not just a one and done, like I play one scenario and then that leads on to the next one and so on and so forth?
That's correct. Yeah, it is a campaign. There are over 15 fights, but you'll probably play 8 or 9 through the course of a standard campaign.
Okay, cool. And I just scrolling through the Kickstarter and stuff. I love the art that they had done for it. That you guys had done for it.
Yeah, Jacob Croft. I just found him on Reddit, the D&D subreddit. He was just saying, I'm doing D&D commissions, but I loved his style. It was perfect for what I was looking for this game, which is very evocative of the original Final Fantasy Tactics, like character artwork.
So when it comes to adventure tactics, what makes your game pop and stand out as one my audience should go check out the Kickstarter? And if they like what they see and what they've heard, back it today, Nick.
Yep. So again, it's going to go back to what I talked about earlier, is the job system, the class system. I think that's really unique. As I said, I've seen a lot of really cool tactical games with campaigns, but I haven't seen the character system, the class building system that Tactics has. Again, you get to pick what character class you start off as, and then you choose. It's open-ended leveling up. So just because you start off as the fighter doesn't mean you have to take any more levels than fighter. In fact, you could never be a fighter again, but you could be cleric and then become paladin. You can get wizard, so you can be Dark Knight. You can take more wizards, so you can be the war mage, or you can do all of the above.
And do you just pick which ones you want to go to? What is it called? What do they call it in
elite classes? Yeah.
Okay, and you can pick whatever one you want to do next time around or whatnot.
Yeah, as long as you qualify for it, like as long as you have the levels that match the requirements. Yep.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool. So that and I'd say the art is definitely pops out to me.
Yeah, thanks. No, Jacob Croft, he did an amazing job with the art, and Jason Kingsley did the graphic design.
Cool, yeah, just scrolling through it back and forth, it looks like an amazing game. So if somebody wants to go ahead and back it, what's the best level to go in at?
So the base pledge is $75. That gives you the core experience. We also added a character pack that adds 3 more classes, so it takes it up from 21 to 24. And we have a couple separate stretch goals, just because each time a class is not just the character card, but it's all the level up cards that come with it and all the ability cards. And so that's why we wanted to keep this game under $100, but the character pack is going to be $15, so you can back with the core game and the character class pack for $90. So I would think if you want the full experience with everything, $90 is the way to go. But the $75 one will include the stretch goals too.
And it looks like that they go ahead and back it, so they don't overpromise and underdeliver. It looks like you have next July as the promise date.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's safe 1 year. Right? We're pretty close. Like the game is 99% done, right? So we just need some final polish, make sure everything's ready for print. So a lot of times, you come to these campaigns that are pretty close, like maybe 75%. But I think this game, we could publish it right now and it would be okay. But I want to make sure, it's absolutely perfect. Like this is definitely a passion project for us. So we want to make sure it's as amazing as we can make it.
Well, that's good to hear. Yeah, good to make an amazing board game as opposed to an unamazing one, I would think.
Of course.
Now, we don't want to keep you all night, so mine is coming there to your hometown to stalk you. How would people go about keeping up with you and games you have going on, also as well as Letterman Games?
Yep, so Dan's at LettermanGames.com. I'm at ZucchiniPeopleGames.com. But you can also find Dan at LettermanGames.com on Twitter, or at LettermanGames on Twitter. I'm going to spell mine. Mine's a little tough. It's at YUTINGXIANG. And the Kickstarter for Adventure Tactics is tinyurl.com/Adventure Tactics. So the easiest way to find me, though, is to find Dan on Twitter. And then I'm always like responding and favoriting and to his comments and the posts.
Okay, there you go. And if you give me links, I'll go ahead and make sure I put those in the show notes so they can just click on over. And yeah, speaking of keeping up with you guys, both yourself and Letterman Games, is there any secrets you might be able to share with us of stuff that's coming on later on? Like, per se, somebody's listening after the Kickstarter's over and anything you're working on for next time?
Well, if the campaign does well enough, we gave it a subtitle, right? It's Adventure Tactics, Domian's Tower. We're hoping this helps us launch into a line of games. Like, there's so many ideas for classes. Like, the class system is built such as that, it's... I don't want to say infinitely expandable, but there's so much design space that can be explored because of how we set it up. And there's also we actually scaled back from some of the really crazy things. Like this is already a crazy game with like 800 cards, right? And standees and minis and game maps and like multiple punch boards. So it's already a really huge game. But we have ideas that we could do for like a second or third campaign. So if the need is there, if the demand is there, people respond to the Kickstarter campaign. We're ready to launch into some expansion ideas already.
Okay, so you heard it here. I'm getting geeky with Game Relief. It's up to you guys. Go ahead and back Adventure Tactics, a co-op tactics campaign for 1 to 5 players, so they can go ahead and keep expanding the world even further. But yeah, we don't want to keep you all night, but we really appreciate you coming on Getting Geeky with Game Relief with us to talk all about Adventure Tactics, Nick.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. Wow, that was great sitting down with Nick, and now I even more want to go ahead and jump into Adventure Tactics than I did before. If you feel the same way, make sure you jump on over and check out their Kickstarter page. Check the link in our show notes, and then back it so we can show them our support. Now, let's go with Batterina Leaf. Where are we going, Batterina?
Kickstarter Corner!
Dear aspiring villain, we have received your application for admission to the League of Evil. While many of my colleagues support murdering you in your sleep to pay for your arrogance, League policy dictates that you be given a chance to impress us and redeem yourself. Also, tonight is taco night. What you do next is up to you, but for your sake, we suggest it involves a healthy amount of scheming with your fellow villains. Stay on the move, get your name in the papers, put the authorities on high alert, do your laundry, or perhaps you have a secret weapon you would prefer to demonstrate. We hear that annoying Captain Mallet just graduated from his therapy class, so by all means, point it his way and fire. Just be sure it, works. Remember, there is no penalty for failing to impress us, but the penalty for wasting our time is, you guessed it, death. Did that sound familiar to you? Well, you must have missed my last episode then. Go back right now and listen to my Evil Upheaval episode. We'll wait for you. What'd you think? Me too. I'm so glad that there's that take that element in the game. And who doesn't want to be a supervillain? If you didn't listen to our interview, Evil Upheaval is a competitive strategy board game inspired by the hit musical comedy drama Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog. It's only on Kickstarter until this Monday, the 5th of August, so don't dilly-dally and back Evil Upheaval today. In the near future, cloning dinosaurs is cheap, easy, and commonplace. As public demand for even state-of-the-art dinosaur zoos waned, underground fight clubs quickly became popular and began producing huge dividends. Trainers began making highly illegal genetic modifications to their dinosaurs' stock. Numerous high-profile accidents calls for international cooperation in regulating the new industry. With millions of dollars involved, several countries began to legalize prehistoric pit fighting. Specialized training schools appeared, and soon dinosaur fighting was legal worldwide. The Ultimate Dinosaur Fighting League was formed, and in just a few years became the world's largest professional sports organization. The most successful dinosaurs and their trainers are some of the world's richest, most famous, or infamous celebrities in the world. Will you be among them? Did that sound familiar to you? Well, good thing I'm here then. This is a story of Ultimate Dinosaur Fighting. It's a miniature board game for 2 to 6 players with playtime of 30 to 45 minutes, no downtime, and no player elimination. If you dare try Ultimate Dinosaur Fighting, you'll step into a world where you control these ancient beasts, where every stamp of the foot, twitch of the tail, or flap of the wings could be their last. The game is easy to learn, fast-paced, quick to set up, has a high replay value, and is just great fun. You can play one-off scrimmage battles, a series of battles in a tournament setting, or use their campaign rules to run a stable of dinosaurs through an entire league season. You can add in mutations, tech upgrades, and training to ready your prized prehistoric gladiator to take on any beast in the pit. Sound fun? I thought so. So make sure you back their Kickstarter campaign for Ultimate Dinosaur Fighting before Thursday the 15th of August. Tell them GamerLeaf sent you. You've got dice. You've got plenty of solid colored dice. I knew that. But what you don't have enough of is multicolored dice. How could you? That's what I thought. Well, fret no longer, as Bryce's Dice are now on Kickstarter with Anthology of Dice: The Beginning, which is a line of polyhedral dice sets with tricolor and dual color effects for Bryce's Dice. Y'all made tie-dyed shirts as kids? Well, now Bryce's Dice are going to make you the equivalent to bring to game night. If you like the sound of that, make sure you head on over to check out their campaign via the link in our show notes. If they get enough backers through this link, we might even do a giveaway with them over at thegiveawaygeek.com. Once you've backed it, make sure you comment on their Kickstarter page, letting them know that GamerLeaf sent you.
Ignite is a simple, mechanically themed card game with board game elements. The goal is to destroy your opponent's forge before they destroy yours. Each player is given a game board and a 30-card deck full of minions called a forge. The game plays similarly to other games in the genre. Cards have attack, health, and cost values, but the rules are less complicated and more fun, making it easier to start and harder to stop. The main mechanic of the game is Ignite. Of course, in this game, your bots will ignite, hopefully many, many times. How will they ignite? With these 2 dice. When your bot ignites, simply roll the Ignite dice to determine which target you hit and for how much. The damage corresponds to the card's Ignite values. This makes the game fun and chaotic, but fear not. To win, you must power up your bot's Ignite abilities with your other cards, the Forgelings. Forgelings are mischievous, trigger-happy, goblin-like creatures that live in your forge, and they work well with your bots. Forgelings upgrade your bots, help them ignite multiple times in random explosions, or provide powerful, game-changing effects. The Ignite decks are expertly designed to make every game uniquely exciting and crazy, and to make combining cards simple and fun. To add more players, just sit in a circle and your Ignite effects hit both neighboring players. So, what are you waiting for? Want to ignite your bots already? Help bring Ignite to life, and we'll provide you with a portal to the world of bots and Forge Links, not to be played within 10 feet of combustible materials. A game of crazy combos and epic explosions. Kickstarter coming June 2019.
If you liked any of the games we talked about in today's episode, make sure you check out their Kickstarter campaigns to show them and us a little love. Backing them goes a long way. Plus, make sure to stay up to date on all the giveaways we're doing over at thegiveawaygeek.com. There will be at least 2 to 3 new giveaways going live over there next week. It's our least favorite time as well as yours, so until next episode, make sure you go ahead and get geeky, stay geeky, and bring others in the geekfold by sharing our episodes with others, as well as keeping up with the giveaways we're doing over at thegiveawaygeek.com. Gamer Leaf out.
Gamer Leaf levels up. Tune in next week to see if Gamer Leaf's luck holds up.